everybody, and welcome to the High Performance Garden Show. This is week 5. This is going to be a really exciting week because we're actually going to do a harvest today. So, woohoo! First thing in our count towards our goals here. So, one of the questions that I get asked is, why is fun one of the requirements for a garden to be a high performer? So, that's a really good question, and I'm glad somebody asks. Gardening or gathering used to be the only source of food before we had grocery stores. And if a family didn't garden, they might risk starving to death in the wintertime. So nowadays, there's so much food available that a garden is actually optional. So we will not starve to death if we don't grow a garden, but the food from an organic garden is very superior if grown right and is well worth the efforts. By adding the element of fun and easy to the garden becomes a delight that you look forward to, not another chore that you have to do, kind of like your grandparents had to do. So this system can produce food that is superior in nutrients and flavor to anything you can buy and can be fun and enjoyable to grow. And the satisfaction of growing your own food is immeasurable. Even after 30 years, I drag home vegetables for my family to look at, and I hold up my vegetables and I say, look what I grew. I know they get tired of it, but they humor me anyways. So when a garden is small and it has borders, so you know where the work ends, is weed-free and produces amazing food, it's fun. Plus the neighbor envy is fun too. They're always peering over the fence going, wow, that looks amazing. So you'll enjoy that too. So anyhow, let's take a look at our fun garden and see what's growing today. Okay, here we are in the first section of our garden. These are our tomato plants, and I see something really exciting on them. I see the first flowers coming on. So, but when a tomato flower opens, you can count 8 weeks till the time you got tomato juice dripping down your chin. So we're probably 9 weeks out maybe. These should be open next week. Okay. So for our first harvest today, what we're going to do is we're going to thin these plants because if the plants are too close together, we're not going to get the nice big leaves that we want, and they're a little harder to pick. So our first crop is going to be microgreens, which is where you're pulling up the whole plant. On the open market, microgreens can bring $20 a pound, so this is going to be a very premium crop. There won't be a whole lot of it, but it's going to be delicious. So I have here one of my picking baskets. Now, it's a little later in the morning than I expected to do this because the lamb-a-lanch is continuing. We had 2 more births this morning, so I'm a little bit later getting in here. So what I've done is I've got a towel, and I just got it soaking wet. This towel's soaking wet. So as I do my harvest, because it's a little hotter right now, I'll pick that up and I'll put it under the towel, and that's how I'm going to keep it from wilting while we work our way through the garden. So anyhow, this is a great trick if you have to pick when it's a little bit warmer. So okay, we're going to come in here to the spinach, and we're going to pull up the plants that are touching each other. I want my spinach plants at least 1 inch apart, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Now last week we went ahead and moved some of them around. They're now getting a little bit big for that. So at this point we're just going to do some thinning. But it's important to learn to thin. It's important to get your plants at a good spacing. And even 1 inch is going to be a little tight for the spinach, but it'll be okay. So all I'm doing now is removing plants. I am not moving them around at this point because they would struggle being this big. There's quite a few in here. This is going to be our first salad of the year, and we're only on week 5. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? These gardens, they pay for themselves in no time at all. If you just take the time to make the investment, the initial investment, you can easily the first season probably double your money. As a matter of fact, I believe with the Abundance Garden course, there is a bonus plan. It's a bonus plan that teaches you how to double your money the first year. See, better than the stock market even. Can't do that in 1 year. All right, I'm going to grab the last few spinach plants here and show you what I got. It's a pretty good load. Now these have got the roots on them, and it's fine to eat the roots. You can take the time to cut them off. But in my salad today, I'm going to eat the roots and the tops. I'm just going to wash them a little bit, get the dirt off. You know, it saves your teeth if you don't eat too much dirt. So yeah, there's a nice load. Part of our first harvest. I'm just going to throw the towel over them. Keep them moist while we continue on. And it's also time to weed. Let's see if I can find one. Oh, there's one. If you just take a little time every week and just look at your garden. I got 3. Most people's gardens by now are just, you can't find the plants for the weeds. So these are amazing gardens. I just love them because we don't have to deal with so many weeds. Okay, we got 4 out of that little section. Okay, moving on down. This is our shigaiku and our cabbage. Our cabbage is looking fantastic. Now, it is time to start looking for bugs. So you want to look mostly on the undersides of your leaves, because bugs like to hide, and then you want to look down into the centers of the plant, and you're just looking for chew marks or eggs or whatever. In the spring, the first thing that you would notice is probably aphids, and so you want to watch for aphids. If you just got a few, just squish them. If you need help with the aphids, get some safer soap, and that will take care of your aphids. If you want to eliminate the bugs, you need to spray the soap twice a week. If you just want control, once a week. I don't see anything on these guys. They look great. The other thing that gets the cabbage is the cabbage loopers, and I have not seen any eggs of those, so we're good. Okay, next I want to look at the shigaiku, and here again I also want to do the thinning just like we did on the spinach. I want these plants about 1 inch apart. So we just pull them up by the roots. They're going to go right into the same basket with the spinach because I'm going to make a mixed salad, which would be awesome. So you can eat the shigaiku, you can eat it raw, you can eat it cooked. It's really good, you know, just sauteed in some olive oil with some garlic. And so same process here. We just come through, pull it out. You know, last week we transplanted, so this week we're not going to transplant. We're just going to remove. Oop, I don't want to eat that much dirt. That's the nice thing about this dirt. It's organic. The plants are organic. If I eat some dirt, it's not going to hurt me. So my garden is safe for me, for my pets, my children. It's even safe for aphids. There you go. Okay. Oh, these are so cute. But nothing's wasted. You know, we're going to harvest and they're going to get eaten, so we're not wasting them. Okay, microgreens extraordinaire. We're going to have a great blend this week. Okay. All right, got to come around the front, get a few. I made this garden so I can sit on the edge and reach halfway in, so I never have to strain to reach across the garden. You know, the garden is fun and easy. It's not fun if you have to reach too far. Okay, pull a few more out here. This is why it was okay to have it planted thick, because I knew we'd get our first crop. Right out of the garden. Here we go. Okay, so while I'm pulling these up, I'm also surveying the garden, seeing if everything is looking okay, if everything is normal. You know, are there any bugs or funny colored leaves? And if you'll just observe your garden every week, you'll know when something's not right, because things will start to look funny. Okay, now a couple of weeds here that I saw. I'll get these up here too. And there's a carrot over here. There's a clover weed. There's a mallow weed. That comes in the ditch water, I know that. Okay, that side looks good. Okay, any weeds over here? Yep, there's a piece of grass. Gosh, it's nice when the weeds are hard to find. Clovers and a mallow. Okay, that looks great. All right, so we got our shigaku and our spinach. That's covered up. On down here to the next section. So this section is our cucumbers. They're looking good. You see just a few weeds in here. The next thing that I want to do with this is to start mulching so we don't get any more weed seeds emerging. So I have some of my mulch that I made with a lawnmower. This is actually a bale of grass that I cut up with the lawnmower because the lawn is not quite growing very much yet, but it will be. We're going to have a nice warm week this week, thank goodness. Okay, in order to smother the weeds, you're going to want the grass clippings on at least an inch thick. 2 inches would be fine too. And we could put on like an inch this week and then come back next week and put on another inch. Sometimes if you put it on too thick right away, it gets kind of smelly. And eventually we are going to mulch the entire garden, but we have to wait for the little seeds to emerge. So we're going to kind of hold off on some of it. A couple weeds in the carrots. Okay, that's the cucumber section. We'll come around and get the carrot section in a minute. Over here, this is our zucchini squash. It's looking great. It's getting really big. And our spinach. Now this spinach, it looks thin enough to me, so I'm not going to take any plants out. Just a couple of weeds. And do a little bit of mulching here on the edge. Okay, around the corner we go. Okay, up here in our carrot section, carrots are coming. A few weeds, want to get those out. Gosh, not even enough weeds to make a trip to the chickens. That's pretty good, isn't it? Okay, there we are. Whoop. Hey, what are you guys doing there? A few more. Put those over there. Okay. Okay, so on our carrots, I'm going to go ahead and mulch this lightly. And next week, if we don't get a few more carrots popping up, we'll drop in a few more seed. I'm just going to give them just a little more time. And we're just going to start mulching this lightly. And every week we can make it a little deeper. Because our goal is not to spend a whole lot of time weeding, which so far we haven't. Okay, I think that's about as much mulch as I want on today, that section. Okay, next we're going to take a look at our 3-unit. Now the 3-unit bed is what I recommend for beginners. So if you've never gardened before, this is about as big of a garden as you want to start with. If you've gardened before, you can go ahead and go on with the bigger one. In the Abundance Garden course, we talk about all that and we help you lay out your first garden. So that part's pretty easy. Okay, we're going to come down here to this section. This is our broccoli. And so for the broccoli, we want to go ahead and look at the same thing. Do we have any bugs? Any aphids? Are we getting any eggs from the cabbage looper? I have seen a few little butterflies. I am not seeing any issues at all. They look a little hot, but it's later in the day than I intended to be here, so. Okay, a couple of weeds. Now for our turnips, same thing. If they're a little thick, like this bunch is a little thick, we can pull them out at this stage, and these can be microgreens, so this can go right into our salad mix. with our spinach and our shigaku. So we're getting a really nice harvest here. And let's see, how's the rest of the turnips? Yeah, they're not bad. There's a couple of thick ones here. We'll just pull out a couple of them. Oh look, that one's even starting to make just a little bit of a bulb. These things are amazing. If you've never eaten them, get a packet because they're a lot of fun. And you can plant them pretty much spring, summer, fall. They'll produce almost any time that the weather is somewhat decent. Okay, now we want to start mulching. We're going to start putting some around the broccoli, and it can go around the turnips too, because I think all that are going to germinate are up. There's a couple little weeds, got them. So the mulch does three things for us. One, it cuts down on the weeding. Two, it cuts down on the water that the garden needs. And three, it feeds our microbes. Well, and four, the worms actually will come up and get some of this stuff and take it down into the garden with them, which I think is pretty cool. So you want to keep it mulched. You want to make sure that your mulch doesn't have weed seeds in it. So like if you're cutting the lawn and the dandelions are blooming, avoid that section. Don't mulch with dandelion seeds. Okay. Alrighty. We'll put it on a little thicker next week. We'll just keep adding to it until we get a nice 2-inch layer. Okay, that's pretty good for the broccoli. And the next thing we got going here is the kale. And up in here, this is where we transplanted all those kales. They look great. We got a wild Swiss chard here, which is fine. I'm not really going to do anything with the kale. It's plenty thin. Just going to pull up a few weeds. And that'll be about it on that section. Okay, I'm going to move on down here. And this is our Joy Choy. Look at this thing. This is ready for an actual harvest besides just the micros. So what we want to do is just take your fingers and just break off these leaves. And you can just go around the plant. First picking, I'd take maybe 2 leaves off each plant. So this will be our second crop of the garden. I love this stuff. It grows amazingly well. The variety that I picked is called Joy Choy. It's a type of bok choy, and I picked it because I like the name. But it has been one of the best performing bok choys that I've ever met. So if you're looking for a bok choy that will perform well for you, give you lots of heavy leaves and not bolt very soon, this is the one to get. And it's called Joy Choy. I got this from Johnny Selected Seeds. They carry this one. So, the bok choy, great for breakfast. My favorite way to cook it is just to saute it in some oil with some garlic or some onion. You just warm up the oil, throw the leaves in, they cook down in probably like 30 seconds. You can't eat it raw. When it gets bigger, you can actually eat the lower part of the stems like a stalk of celery. They can go in any stir fry, any dish, any soup. And have another basket for them. Okay, so as I'm picking, I'm looking for the general health of the plants. I'm looking for any weeds. I'm looking for bugs. You want to stay ahead of bugs and things, so you need to pay attention. Be observant. The observant gardener gets to eat more garden fresh vegetables, that's for sure. Wow, this is going to be a nice harvest today. Okay, we're just a little thick right in this section. So I'm actually going to pull up just a few of these plants. like I say, I want them about an inch apart, but if they're right on top of each other, that's a little thick. Okay, that's a little better. Okay. Well, we got about this much choy choy. See, and that's a serving. We could make that into a meal, so that's great. I'm going to set it over here in the shade. Okay, next thing we got is our Swiss chard, and some of these sections are a little thick, so we're going to go ahead and do some thinning. And this also will go into our microgreens, because this is what microgreens are. There again, if the plants are about an inch apart, that's pretty good. It doesn't have to be perfect, and you don't want to move them around to make it perfect. So this is nature. It doesn't have to be in a perfect grid. But if it's too crowded, the plants are going to struggle. Okay, I like that pretty good. Okay, add these to my bounty here. And then this section here, this is our butternut squash. I got one here, I got another one here, got another little one that came up there. So I'm missing one here. And if it doesn't come up by next week, what we'll do is just stick in a few more seeds. So it's very common, especially if the soil is cold, for them not to come up. But we have plenty of chances we can replant. Okay, and then these are my beets. And the beets I want to also thin. And these little microgreens are going to go into our mix. So I waited for them to get big enough before I thinned them so that they would be edible. And you could thin them when they're littler, but this is nice. There's a little weed. We can weed and thin at the same time, can't we? Okay, I think that's about all the thinning that I want to do. I have butternut squash there. I got one here. Here's a weed. Don't see these two yet. If they're not up by next week, we'll go ahead and replace them. And just a couple little stray weeds right there. And that section of the garden looks pretty good. I mean, look how long it took us to clean up just the smallest amount of garden. It's not hard at all. And I'm doing it all while sitting. This garden is really fun. Okay, next, I want to take a look over here. This is our lettuce section. And I'm just starting to see the first lettuces coming up here. So this is where we planted the lettuce. I don't want to disturb this section at all. Even if I see a weed, I'm just going to leave it alone. Let those plants come up. The turnips back here, we could thin them, but they look like they are about the right spacing. I'm just going to pull out a few little weeds. And that section is done. Ooh, and look at our lettuce over here. Okay, this is big enough to actually harvest a little bit. So what we want to do is come and take the leaves off the bottom. So if you look at a lettuce plant, we'll look at this one. It grows in a spiral. And so you have the older leaves are at the bottom, and then it circles up through the center. So what we want to do is we want to harvest the older leaves off the bottom and leave the center alone so it can continue to grow. So this is the method we're going to use to harvest our lettuce. So see, we just came all the way around that plant. And now what we have left is our crown, and this will be just as big next week when we come back. So we're going to go ahead and go around all these plants. And lettuce in our area, good organic bag of leaf lettuce, pre-washed in the bag, 5 ounces, sells for about $4 a bag retail. So that equates, let's see, there's 3 bags to the pound. So 3 times 4 is 12. It equates to about $12 a pound for washed leaf lettuce, ready to go, ready to eat out of the bag. And that's how we sell ours. We have, let's see, we got 4 stores, 3 restaurants that we sell to. So a lot of salad goes out of here. This is our arrowhead, isn't it lovely? You want to eat all the colors of the rainbow, and that's why I want to plant lettuces of different colors, because I want to pick up that whole rainbow. Because every different color element is a different element in the leaf. So we got different minerals that we're eating. And our body was intended to get its vitamins through its food. Okay. So now we're going to have a nice salad. We're going to have some steaming greens. And we're going to have some microgreens. Okay, there's our salad that we got today. And we need to do just a little maintenance on this. There's a little bit of grass coming up here. Pull that up. Weed there. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Next thing I'm going to do is take my harvest in and weigh it up and get it under refrigeration so it doesn't wilt. So I'll be back in a few minutes to let you know what kind of poundage we got off the garden today. Okay, I'm back. I weighed up all my vegetables. I left them in the big cooler because it is getting pretty warm out here and they're wanting to wilt a little bit. So for our bok choy, we had 0.21 pounds, and the organic retail value in our area is $6 a pound. So we had $1.26 for the bok choy today. The microgreens, we had 0.56, so we had over half a pound. And the street value here in our area is $20 a pound. So we had $11.20 worth of value in our microgreens. And our lettuce, we had 0.15 pounds at $12 a pound. So we had $1.80 worth of value. So this garden this week on week 5 has made $14.26 towards our goal of $2,990. So woohoo, we are on our way. So the garden, it gives me more gifts than just food. There is a tremendous amount of personal growth that can happen just for you when you're in your garden. The third gift that my garden gave me was commitment. Plants, pets, and children need us to stay committed to them through thick and thin. We need to be there for their every need. To reach the reward at the end of the garden season, we need to have a commitment to tend to the plant's needs until the end, where they reward us with a bounty of amazing foods. Okay, so we want to talk about what you can plant today. So all season long, I'm going to let you know what you can plant in your area, because I want you to know that you can garden most of the year, even if it's just a pot of lettuce on the patio. So you don't have to start just in the spring. For some of you, you can grow outdoors all year long. For the more northern gardeners, you have a longer season than you actually realize. To see the chart of what you can plant in your area, click on the menu button on the High Performance Garden website where you are viewing this video. Find this week's date and click on the link. Then find your zone and see what you can start. If you don't know your zone, then click on the introduction and read the article about zones. So now you know what you can start in your area. Pick a plant or two and give it a whirl. Make a commitment to learn to grow some food. If you would like more education, we have 3 options for you. One is you can join the High Performance Garden community. It's absolutely free. Just go to the website, sign up. You'll be getting more training videos there, and we can have some communication there. We have the Leafy Greens course. If you just have a patio area and you just want to grow a couple tubs of lettuce, definitely try the bok choy. It is an amazing, amazing plant. The Leafy Greens course, that's the one that you want. If you want the full-blown garden, you have 128 square feet in your backyard, a little bit of sunshine, then go for the Abundance Garden course. Start doubling your money, learning to grow all this stuff. So I would like to ask you to think of 3 people who would like to learn growing a garden and pass along our link to the show so we can give them the same gift that I'm giving you. Give other people the gift of an amazing garden. They can sign up for the show and we'll have access to the past episodes so they can catch up with us. And if you have any gardening questions, go ahead and pop me an email and we'll work on those answers for you. So until next time, may your garden be easy, fun, productive, and always organic.